I don't know if we are live or not.
Yes, it says we're live on your page.
It does? Are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook, and so is Patricia, and you are not.
It's always a love. It's always a love thing.
Yes, it says.
Well, this is a good example of Pisces.
I am on Facebook, and so is Patricia, and you are not.
All right, so let's. It's always a love. It's always a love thing. All right.
Yes.
Well, this is a good example of Pisces.
I am on Facebook, and so is Patricia, and you are not.
Come on, baby. Well, Kitty, are you on your page as well?
I haven't shared it out yet. I can.
All right. Well, what you can do is rather than sharing it out because we are live, at least talk to the audience out there and let them know what we're doing.
So, hello, everyone. We have a panel discussion tonight. We try to do this once a month with astrologers. And Patricia is here, and I am here, and so is Joanne, even though she physically is not showing up here. Joanne, talk for a minute and see if it registers your voice, please.
Yes. Hi. How is everybody today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Wednesday, and Wednesdays are ruled by Mercury's energy. And let's all just say a little prayer so my laptop will work with us and not be so fussy.
Well, and your voice is being picked up.
Okay, so that's a good thing. So maybe I'll just be the mystery person for today until things shift
The
around.
voice from the stars
There
today.
you go. We'll keep it that way for now, and I'll just keep waiting for it to show up. So let's just act as though I'm there, have a conversation. This is quite interesting. The show must go on, as we always say. The show must go on. So for those of you who are curious to know who's the voice that you cannot see, that would be I'm Joanne Angel BarryColon. I am the founder of Holistic Fitness NY, and I am your certified holistic personal trainer, holistic integrated teacher, Reiki master, medical astrologer, master numerology. I'd show you my cards, but you can't see me, so you can't see them.
Well, I can show them your card.
Therefore, that's who I am. I'm going to hand the mic over to Miss Kitty so she can introduce herself. And hopefully somewhere along the line, I'm going to
Here, let me show you. These are Joanne's cards. She's the creator of this deck, everyone. So the beautiful deck is one of my favorites, actually. My name is Kitty Foss. I am the storytelling astrologist. My tagline is Reader of the Stars. And I am here tonight to have a discussion about what's happening. Pisces! Flow and lack of flow. Patricia, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Patricia Herlevi, semi-retired astrologer. And mostly I've been doing spiritual mediumship, and I call myself the Neptune girl wearing space boots, which is related to Pisces. So.
Oh, do you have a logo of the Neptune girl wearing space boots? Because I'd love to see that. That would be such a cute little logo.
I do have a logo.
Oh, well, you'll have to send it to me because I would love to see that. So anyway, we're here to discuss Pisces. And Joanne, what's the title of this? It's such a funny thing. It's talking to the voices in the heavens, that is here. What we can see, so for the audience that's watching us, is a square with a picture of Joanne holding her cards. That's what we can see. So.
And I see absolutely nothing because my laptop is completely black. It went completely black. I just got a little hand on it. And you asked me for the title. Patricia, if you could turn around and tell them the title, because in order for me to do that, I'd have to come off where I'm actually able to see the two of you. And then I have access to on my phone. So if you could share the title with them, that would be great.
I don't have it in front of me. Like I'm on Zoom.
All right.
Not
all
on
right,
the
so
audio,
hang in there, guys. I'm gonna get the title.
Or we just make it up on the spot.
Nah, leave it to the one in the dark.
In the dark?
Give me 1 second, folks.
I can get to it
Getting
too.
it. I'm getting it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it
It's
comes.
about Pisces, guys. We're here to
It
talk
sure
about Pisces.
is. It sure.
And I just got water stuck down my throat.
It
Title for
is
tonight
the inner warrior awakens Pisces
is
transit.
Aries transits.
Yes.
Ah.
Pisces is ending a cycle of victimhood and of martyrs. What does this mean in a world currently enveloped in a Pisces fog and chaos? How can Aries show our inner and outer strength as well as teach us to honor our boundaries and the boundaries of others? So this really is an example of Pisces, though. Pisces is about flow and it is about uncovering. And right now, Joanne is in the uncovering of why isn't this technology working? And of course, today, Uranus is a player. Uranus is in a relationship today with this Scorpion moon in opposition. So, we have an opposition happening with our Scorpion moon that is today has really been much more about transmuting rather than transforming. Very much, and the difference is for those out there, transforming is about things that are a little more flowy. There's the Pisces part, can kind of go back and forth. When you transmute, it is changed forever. And that is really what this huge Kazemi of Pisces that's coming forward right now. Yeah,
technology working. And of course,
oh,
today,
we can hear an echo of us, Joanne,
this is
through you. And so it really is today, and of course, Uranus is the planet of chaos and great awakening. So here is this chaos with this Scorpion energy that the moon is in right now, transmuting how we're doing this because we can't go back. This So it's an interesting. I like Pisces, but when you have a lot of Pisces, it is for me as a Scorpio, just like okay, there's just too much even change, too much that's happening. And for me, the way the energy feels physically as a first house Capricorn is it is heavy, not in a bad way, but I need sleep. I need to make sure the bigger picture is moving, and because it's Pisces, a flow with it, and because of all the Scorpio energy at the moment. Though I love this, it's my favorite transition in the zodiac is this Scorpio to Sagittarius that is happening in the next 6 hours. So there's something about let's transform and then start to tell the truth that I absolutely love. Um, so it's a very interesting couple days that we're even appearing on. Patricia, what are you thinking about all this Pisces energy? We got Mercury in Pisces, we got Saturn in Pisces, we've got the Sun in Pisces, Venus just got out of Pisces. So there's a lot. Oh, because we have North Node in Pisces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we also have Mercury in Pisces.
Oh, I said
Yeah.
Mercury. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what's going on with the technology. I think it is Mercury, which is technology in
Yeah.
Pisces.
Right.
And it's not retrograde, but it might as well be.
Well, we got Uranus, though we have Uranus sitting here, which is the higher octaves of technology today in this square with this intuitive information coming forth. And Pisces is all about uncovering and the intuitive energy, even though Scorpio is moving it. So it wants it to be uncovered, no matter what that looks like. So, and it's illusions as well as dreams, delusions as well as dreams. So
it's also nightmares, nightmare scenarios, what if scenarios, getting kind of stuck in that murky place instead of being in the now and in being in the mindfulness. Pisces can have you flow really far into the future. And with the Scorpio moon, it's going to bring up shadows and, wounding, dark night of the soul. I just wrote an article about that today. I didn't know that the moon was in Scorpio. Yeah, Yeah, and a lot of water can make things unclear, very emotional. You can feel like you're emotionally unbalanced, especially with Pisces, because Pisces can rule, what is it, mental illness, mental
Mhm.
health.
Suffering, because it's a part of suffering. Yes,
Yeah.
it's the dis-ease in our body is Pisces energy, is that suffering and that, we have this south placement in south node in Virgo, which is trying to learn where we suffer, where we tell ourselves we're not enough. How do we let go of those patterns? So this,
Mhm.
in particular, these 2 days are quite a shakeup of the dice around it. And you're right, this is all water. This is the deep dive into the swamp, as well as the ebbs and tides of the ocean to uncover. And as much as Pisces is it also is about our dreams, it is a consciousness of it is the last sign of the zodiac, so it's a consciousness of the finishing, the completion, the understanding. It also kind of dumps what it is we have to start to work on, and it kind of lines it up as a mountain for us as we move into this. And wow, what 2025, this next astrological year promises ahead is pretty amazing and intense. There's no
Mhm.
pulling
Mhm.
punches around this. This is very, very, very intense energy that is
Yeah.
appearing.
It feels like to me, because Pisces, Neptune is going to go into Aries, Saturn's going to go into Aries, give us a preview this year, and then 2026 are going to just go in there, like boom, gone. And I think Pisces is the dissolution, like it dissolves what it touches, and it's in its showdown, like it's right in the what is it, at like 27 degrees, 28
But yeah,
degrees?
it moved to 28. It's getting ready for
Yeah.
that
So
29
yeah, yeah,
10 degree. Yeah.
culmination degrees. So it is finishing what we started in 2011.
Hmm.
2011, we were just sort of dipping into it. We're coming out of Neptune and Aquarius. And I remember at that time when Neptune was Aquarius, we were looking at the healing power of music. They had Don Campbell's book came out, the Mozart Effect. There was a lot of people starting to get into sound therapy, sound healing, and then it sort of faded for a while. And then when Pluto went into Aquarius, now we've got that interest again. It's starting to get, the healing power of music. And
Well,
I
yeah. In
Pisces is music.
2012 was
So,
all the harmonic conversion, the end of the Aztec calendar.
mm,
That whole thought, the ending of the world energy was all around that, and it was ending the world in a cycle. When people talk about the end of the world, they can make it catastrophic, or they can talk about it's end of the world as we know it. And getting we're going to be going back and forth in this 29 and 0 in so many planets, and for
mm,
29 being resetting our karma. We are constantly in this Pisces to Aries mode that we're moving into. 2025 going into 2026 is going to keep going back, change the karma around us, offering us opportunities. And that's as intense as it is, it's all opportunities to change the trajectory, to change the trajectory of that energy, and in all of our own ways. That is the karma. My karma is not the same as Patricia's nor the same as Joanne's. It's about my alignment. And then we go right back to the 0 degrees, that angelic footprint, that undercurrent, though, just like a riptide, that can carry you out in the intensity of that energy. And you have to, what do you do with a riptide if you get caught in one? You let it carry you out until it's safe to leave the energy. And that's what we're going to keep going back over. Reset my alignment, get carried out, reset my alignment. That's why I want to go take a nap right now. That's kind of, it's a very, very, not in a bad way, but in a, how do I ground myself in this energy and allow my body what it needs to do as we go through this? So it's, before we spark, before we, continue to look at our strength, and Aries is all about the I am. I am.
mhm.
What am I doing? What am I? I am. And again, South Node in Virgo. Where have I told myself that I am not enough? Rather than going back to the I am. And here's the Pisces energy of our North Node in this. And Pisces in North Node is a taskmaster. It's not light work for the soul. You know, to
Mm.
find those places that I'm not flowing with, that I'm not, what's the word? Help me here, Patricia. What's the word?
I don't know.
I'm not,
What word are you looking for, Kitty? Is based on the North Node Pisces?
yeah, I'm not on, it wants us to uncover, it wants the growth. It wants meditation, intuitive, understanding.
It wants us to step into our brilliance, is what it is. It's as Kitty was saying, with the voice from the behind the unknown, as Kitty is saying about her not being enough, or her energy as not being enough, and anyone who carries the energy of thinking they're not enough, the North Node Pisces energy is reminding you that you are an intuitive being and there is more than enough of you. You are enough just as you are, and we need to really let go of the stigma that we carry from lifetimes ago. That energy no longer serves us. It really no longer serves us. This is one of the reasons why so many people need naps, is because the sleep is about moving into your dream state so you can actually see yourself at your highest vibration of being enough. And it's not really about like literally falling asleep. It's allowing yourself to dream into that space of being enough, being exactly who you need to be as you are, and not being afraid to be seen as that. And I think sometimes we tend to fall into the wording of that we're not enough, as, excuse the expression, as the excuse to just show up mediocre. And we're not allowed to show up mediocre anymore. This energy going forward, as through a decluttering and a recycling and a rebooting and a releasing of 2011 going forward. So this is a powerful time. So anyone who's watching with us live on the replay, this is a time where perhaps tonight in the Scorpio moon energy to go through this transformation and let yourself peel, as we say in the wood snakes energy, peel off that idea of thinking that you need to still walk around thinking you're not enough, you're not worthy. As I forget the brilliant man that said this, if you feel you're not enough, go do it anyway and see how much you really are enough, and see how many people literally applaud you and show up for you with the energy of almost like begging you to do the work that you need to do. Because see, what's happening for us who are not showing up as enough and they're hiding is there's so many people waiting for you to show up. I'm going to say it this way so it can really wake people up. You're disappointing people by not showing up. There are people waiting for you. You have agreements to fulfill based on whatever level you can fulfill it at, and recognizing that you're enough just as you are. You are that perfect.
I am that I am, and that's enough.
Exactly. We need to start really reciting that mantra and let go of all of this nonsense, all of this old thinking of we're not worthy, we're not good enough, we don't deserve it. We have to let that go. That's old baggage. It doesn't even exist anymore. And that's, again, one of the reasons why with this Piscean energy that we have so much of it, this is really our time to shine. This is our time to transform. This is our time that as we experience the Neptune energy leaving Pisces and moving into the Aries energy, this is where we get to state our I am statement and start to truly believe of our I am statement as we get more clarity of it. I mean, there's so many people out there talking about they're not sure what they're supposed to be doing. And a big part of why so many people are not sure what they're supposed to be doing, because they're so caught up in not thinking they're enough. So if we let go of that whole concept and believe you're enough, you're going to know exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing, because you're no longer thinking about the fact that you're not enough. So let's squash that energy of not being enough. And from this moment on, really stay focused on you are enough. and it's time to show up as enough, because there's people waiting for what it is you have. You have agreements, and there's a whole line of people who's just waiting for you to show up just as you are, because you're perfect just as you are. So I think that's basically what Kitty was looking for, the word that became a paragraph, that became a book, that became a story of what it is that this North Node Pisces energy really is helping us to move into, shift into, and
Well,
being
it's
vivacious enough for it.
especially that Neptune. I mean, that Neptune's going to, once it goes into this very dynamic action energy, it's the warrior archetype, spirit, courage, dynamic action, collective impulses, harrowing leadership. And at the same time, in October, it dips back on that 29th degree of Pisces to look at the things that are in the way of that flow, in the way of what is, we've kind of done all this action come March. And then in October, we look at a lot of things we've uncovered, taken action, and go back to reset our decisions around that. And what's really interesting is it becomes conjunct in July of 2025, and it will be a big time of sorting fantasy versus reality.
Hmm.
As they become, and it be social and cultural. And I like how you talk, because this is my favorite term I in reading about that is somebody used, and I wrote it down. This is robust inner work, folks. Period. It's behind the scenes. This is not a light shift of energy, and that we are dealing with in many planets. It's not like there's one that's leading the way. We get dynamic action from Mars. We get personal responsibility from Saturn. In Jupiter, we get compassionate understanding of how we have to take care of and nurture with that Cancer placement. And then we have Uranus coming in, who is just here. Uranus is just it's radical change in ideals, communications, social thinking, technology, because it is the expanded octave of the technological piece. It's Mercury's partner in the other piece of that. Gemini is the personal thinking air energy, and then we move into the Aquarian thinking energy of the collective. And so this is you know, this is just a little preview right now. And so how it's kind of showing up for you. But what a wonderful thing is to have these previews so we can do the work. Take a look at it and say, where is this taking me? Where is this leading me? And boy, I have a word of the year that I work with, several of them. And it's been acceptance this year. And then today I said, yeah, I got to make one for trust. After I get into the acceptance, trust that this is not the way I would have planned it, that this is unfolding. I like Patricia going, this is not the way I would have done it. And I have to trust it. I do not see the bigger picture. As much Capricorn as I may have in the first house, I don't see the bigger picture of what this is. What are you thinking,
I think
Patricia?
Yeah. Okay. So two things came to mind while you were talking. I also have Capricorn in the first house and Aquarius. The first thing I thought of is this Pisces energy, and the way it's playing out could also be about visualizing instead of fantasizing and reality. It could be turning your fantasies into reality. So what you're focusing on, so if you're focusing on a pretty dark situation, then that might become your reality. And if you're focusing on what the society you want to live in, the community you want to live in, the world you would like to embody, then that's what you will create. And then the Aries energy is giving birth to that. So, but we get, like, if we don't do it the first time right, we get a second time in 2026, or, redo, rewrite, or, but I really feel like the words we're using and what we're visualizing, what we're spending our energy on is what we as a collective will manifest. So, and then the other piece of that is the unity consciousness. And I wrote a piece about that today. And I was thinking of the Beatles, the song, The brokenhearted people living in the world agree there will be an answer, let it be. And so the brokenhearted people are all these diverse communities, all these people who are suffering over here and there, and then they come together, but not in suffering. They come together as building something new, like a unifying, a sense of unity.
Yeah, that collective consciousness, I've heard a lot of variety talking about this separation of the worlds. What are we creating? What it is, um, there are people that are creating the world I certainly don't want to be a part of. Then that's the best I can say about it. And so then I put my consciousness in finding the other part of that world. And, there are people very convinced that there were literally two realities. And in general, it would be great to have two realities on the same planet. And maybe that's exactly what's going on. I've heard people talk about several people. There's one lady I follow on TikTok who talks about, I swear to God, guys, I lived in a different reality. And she started talking about things that were different in it. And it was like, she said, I guess I came here to let you know that, because she goes, I want back. And that's like, oh.
I want to go back to what Kitty was saying a little while ago regarding trust and what I was hearing at the time when Kitty was speaking about trust, where we all have our own what's the word I'm looking for? We all have our own plan of what we think it should be. And because we're seeing it differently, I truly believe that it's almost like the universe reminding us that what we feel the plan should be, we have to be reminded, we have to remember that there's a greater plan for us and that our plan is not the real plan. And that's where it really comes in, again, coming back to this Pisces energy, that's where it really comes to understanding that what your plan is, what my plan is, what the other person's plan is a small piece of what the actual real plan is. And that's where we have to begin to trust the process of all of this energy that we are seeing and recognize that there's something so much bigger that is really unfolding in front of us. However, not all of us are attuned, aware, and awakened to seeing what's literally beyond in front of us. And again, like Patricia was saying about coming out of the fantasy, it's allowing you to go into the fantasy to realize that you have the ability in your imagination. In fact, I actually talked about this morning in a live, where if you have a Pisces in your life, this is a time to connect with your Pisces people, because Pisces, as we already know, are the most intuitive. And because we do spend a lot of time in our imagination, in our dream state, we are probably the most best at manifesting our deepest desires, because we spend so much time in our imagination. And a big part of manifestation is imagining it. So the more you can imagine something, the more you can manifest it. And when you can go beyond the process of what you believe it to be and open it up to, what is God's plan? What is God's plan for you to believe it to be? And when you can move into that energy and allow yourself to trust, then it's no longer questioning, why is this happening? We're no longer going to question what we see around us, because again, it's only a illusion of what we see. We all agree that in theory, when it comes to media, we're only being shown and told what they want us to be told and shown. It's not really the actual thing that's really happening. There's so much more going behind the scenes. And if we can allow ourselves to be in that space of just trusting that where we are right now, we are literally being taken to where we have to go. And we have to trust it. And allowing our trust energy to open up so we can be more in trust and less in a state of confusion and doubt and falling into that process of um of overwhelmness is what I just heard. Because of all this energy we do have in water, the emotional state of it all, the chaotic state of it. But when you think about water in itself, I mean, if we've all had opportunities to sit and watch water. Water flows. Very rarely does water just come to a standstill. It's always flowing. And that's what all this water is about. It's about learning how to flow, learning how to weave through all the ups and downs. And when you learn how to weave through all the ups and downs, you can literally get to where you have to go without the fear factor. And I think that's a big part of why so many of us are in a state of pain and illness, because we're so afraid to let our guards down because, again, the trust factor. We have to work on our trust the same way we have to work on believing we're enough. All of this energy that's so funny, it sits in our solar plex energy, which is where our willpower comes in, our strength and our determination. So if we allow ourselves to move into that space of trust and going with the flow, just like water does, at the end of this all, where we're supposed to lead into and land in, we will get there. And we'll have all this energy to go with it, and the understanding and the wisdom that we get to experience. Because all this really is just an experience. It's nothing more. Just like we've experienced all the other years before this, we'll experience this and we'll learn from it. And this too shall pass. We'll be talking about something very different in a few years from now, and that too shall pass as well. And all it is really a lesson and an experience through. So just allowing ourselves to be more in a space to be more trusting and allowing.
But it's interesting too, because we're coming to a whole group of human beings in their mid 50s to early 60s, who have Pisces and Chiron, the wound of faith. And yet this is the same group of people who can teach the meaning of life. So, what gets acted in this time of Pisces North Node for those people with a wound in faith is trust. Now, I happen to be in a wound of Aquarius, late Aquarius, but still nonetheless Aquarius. And that wound is about not being enough. So we have this whole group of people from probably almost 70 back to about 52, dealing with some really big issues that are being activated about doing all of these things. And of course, we have right now Chiron and Aries asking everybody to be authentic. So, and sometimes we'd like them to be less authentic. What does authenticity mean to some people? Some people, authenticity means telling other people how to live their lives. They're so authentic. They're their own authority because it's not an inward journey. So it's a very interesting time with all this Pisces energy, because Pisces is that robust inner dive. It's about uncovering. And if you're not willing to do that work, this is a time you will spark and act out, because it's going to keep pushing you. But that's part of this awakening that is happening. Interesting time,
Now you guys get to hear me cough all the time because I can't mute myself.
Oh, because you don't have anything on your screen to see.
No.
I'm a ventriloquist.
So this is a fascinating conversation.
Well, I wanted to add, so people born in the 1960s, especially with, and the late 50s, with Neptune in Scorpio, and then when Uranus went into Virgo, and then you had Pluto in Virgo, and then also in the 80s where you had all the Sagittarius happening. The Neptune in Pisces is really triggering all of those points, right? It's in opposition with Uranus and Pluto, for the last, what was it, 13 years, 14 years?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody born during that time, I think it went all the way to about 1970, 71, when Neptune finally went into, Pluto went into Libra.
Yeah.
Virgo.
Libra. No,
Right.
Pluto was in Virgo through the early 60s. Yeah.
And
No,
nineteen-
I'm talking
and
about 70, 71, I think it
So
went.
that was when it went into Libra.
Yeah. So imagine like all this whole group, right, getting triggered by, okay, so Neptune at 0 degrees. I mean, at 0 degrees Pisces, and then all the way at 29 degrees. So the last people, the ones in 70, 71, who would have had their Pluto at 29 degrees Virgo, are the ones that are now getting hit with this energy, which is about transformation. And a lot of it has to do with the mind-body health. And that's something that I've been delving into because I found some channels on YouTube where these people have healed themselves from chronic illness with mind-body medicine after doing all the herbs and all the expensive treatments. And then they finally found out it's a rewiring of the brain.
Yes.
And that's what's healing people. So, and Virgo does rule part of the nervous system, as far as I know, as far as the health of the nervous system. And so a lot of the people were born in the 70s, and then some were born in the 80s. And then a lot of them are maybe born in the 60s, or I'm finding they're having these these miracle healings by rewiring the brain. And I think that Virgo energy, that Pluto and Uranus in Virgo, especially, even though that was kind of a short period, I think Uranus was only in 7 years in Virgo, if I can remember correctly. And then I don't remember how long Pluto was in Virgo, but it was quite a while.
It was one of the longer transits for
That time period.
Well, and what's really interesting is that the only house that Pluto in Aquarius is transiting in its home house is the 6th house. So those Pluto and Virgo people have me being one, you being one, have
Me being one.
have a different intensity coming forth because it is literally transiting the house of Virgo. So everyone else it's out of, but Pluto will transit through the 6th house, Virgo. It's the only one that matches it. And so it will be quite a time of, and it's a relentless energy is what I always tell people when I read it in their charts, because Pluto never sleeps because it's always changing and it's always that dive. And Virgo never sleeps because it's looking for the pattern, and it is the solution generating energy, is why people call it nitpicky, but it is always looking for a solution, always. And so you've got something always changing, always looking for a solution. It never sleeps. And here's this whole group of people being activated in the house of health and service, which is why it's almost like this is the revolutionary call, and we have a whole group of us ready to go. It's who we are. And so, and depending what your alignment, that we go back to that karma, it doesn't matter what my alignment is different than other people's. And so what that will look like, and boy, is this going to be an interesting, what's the word that you just used, Spirit? Say it again. Pilgrimage through judgment. Pilgrimage through judgments. How we navigate, and in that very holy sense of pilgrimage, looking at judgments, looking at those patterns and stuff. So I hadn't really thought about the Uranus part too, but yeah, that's sitting there with Virgo and Leo, depending where you are in that little energy, which is, so it's a very chaotic great awakening with always transforming and solution generating. No wonder I need to sleep. Like, no wonder I need to sleep. So, it's pretty spectacular.
Kenny, what house is your Virgo Pluto in?
8th.
Oh, both of you have Pluto Virgo in 8th?
Intense.
Wow. Okay.
I also have my moon Uranus, Pluto, and the North Node all in the 8th house.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
So
Yeah.
Yes, I would say for you, Kitty, you definitely need to do some deep healing so you can allow yourself to be seen more, because that 8th house is your trapper. It's trapping you.
oh, I love the 8th house. I have
Yeah.
so much
Well,
Scorpio in my chart. It's just
Scorpio.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
And
mean,
then
whether you love the 8th house or not is immaterial. It's the fact that 8th house energy, a big part of it is literally staying in the darkness, and you have to use one of your other houses to help you get out of that. I
yeah,
don't
but
know which
it's Joanne, it's Virgo in the 8th house. It doesn't sleep. Leo and Virgo, by the way, happens to
Mhm.
split my 8th house.
even if
Um,
one doesn't sleep, just because one doesn't sleep, that doesn't mean one is actually allowing themselves to be seen. You can be awake but not be seen. And that's a big part of it too. I mean, how many people, and I'm not saying this is you, but how many people are sleepwalking?
Oh, a
You
lot.
know, there's a lot of people, right now who are just basically sleepwalking their everyday life. They're just not living in full purpose. And like I said, I'm not saying that's you at all. You're definitely not sleepwalking.
Well, there's definitely that shift happening right now where people are waking up because they're losing their homes, they're losing their jobs, their realities being shaken up. And I think, truth telling, I think years from now, they're going to look back and see that those losses were actually a blessing.
Yes.
They were not on the right path.
Yes.
So it's going to bring them in touch with the rest of humanity instead of just being in this,
Mhm.
can dream, this is what I need to do to get this, to get this, to get this, and these are my long-term goals. We don't have long-term goals anymore, folks. Those days are over. We got to just live in the moment and practice
Mhm.
mindfulness. That's what's going to get us through this.
We have to be in the now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't mean to sound harsh and judgmental to people, but I know I have rugs pulled out for me a few times in my lifetime. And when I look back, I actually see that I'm glad those things happened. Not at the time they were happening, but then later looking back on, okay, that was when I had my wake-up call. That's what got me where I am now, as far as a spiritual path.
I
Well,
actually think
that's the concept though for most, is that we never really appreciate it or accept it at the time when we're in it, because we're in it. We really can't appreciate it at that point because we need to learn the lessons at that time. We have to go through what we have to go through. And then once we get to the other side of it is where we can literally sit back and say, wow, without what I experienced, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I needed that. Like, in theory, I do a lot of work with different women, and I ask them the same. Most women I ask the question on, would you change anything about your story that you've experienced? And most of them say no. Most of them would say that no, everything that happened for a reason and got me to where I am today. So, but when we're in it, when we're in the mess, it's like really hard to see because we're in the mess and we're in that space of either trying to survive it or trying to fight it. So we can't really see it at that point in time. And we're not supposed to at that point in time, because there's lessons to be learned in that point in time. And those lessons are not to be rushed. So we can get all of the lessons. It's like the universal school. You have to go through all the different grades to get to graduate. You can't skip. In theory, you cannot skip, because there's something, if you do skip, you're going to miss something. And that's exactly what the lessons are. So we have to go through the mess. And once we get to the mess, we get our message. And then we realize how much we appreciate what we go through, even though, yes, it might have been hard. It might have been challenging. It might have been heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's all worth it at the end. We may not see it at the time, but it definitely is all worth it at the end.
but that's also what we're trying to get out of, that Piscean consciousness that we have to suffer to learn. And we are moving from that to learn by, in the Aquarian consciousness, we learn by working together, by seeking other people, rather than looking at it as a problem to be solved when we're in a mess or we're in something that is uncomfortable for us, finding people that help us getting out of the suffering, like, part of somewhere in this learning is I can let go, I can start in, all right, this is something to teach me without assigning it suffering and it's trauma and the
Oh,
wool
yes,
pulled over
exactly.
my arm. And so,
Exactly.
but this is what the shift is. We don't exactly know how to do that, but we're
Yes.
becoming aware. All right. So as soon as something happens to me, if something happens to me, and if I really work on manifesting, things don't start happening to me, and I can watch them. But again, that's that pilgrimage through judgment, because part of what happens is when we're in judgment about how things happen, including to us,
Mhm.
we're getting to that's that breaking out of that cycle. And I don't even quite understand what that means, but I do understand that's what we're looking at. Does that make sense, Patricia, what I'm saying? Like, I don't quite understand it, but I'm knowing that it's something that's a huge shift, because Piscean consciousness in its dense expression has been suffering. We're moved out of the age of Pisces to the age of
Mhm.
Aquarius. Now, the dense expression of Aquarius is the coldness we're starting to see from people. Not my business, there's a whole um, generational thing that we're going to be working with where people get cold. They don't feel like they have to suffer, but they have no vision for other people who are. Like,
Mhm.
So it's an interesting navigation that's happening through this.
Yes.
I don't know where I'm going, you know, just
And,
trust
and,
me.
and it's okay to not understand what is actually going on. It's okay to not understand. We're not supposed to understand everything, because in theory, if we understood everything, if we knew everything, if we knew exactly what direction to go, we would have no purpose to being here anymore. We would have done what we came here to do and we can go home. So knowing everything and having the understanding of everything, we're not supposed to know and understand everything. So to sit there and like literally say, I want to understand this. No, you don't have to. Stop understanding it and just allow yourself to go into the flow of whatever it's supposed to be, and allow yourself in that gentle, peaceful, more joyous space without thinking you have to understand everything.
Hmm. Yeah. I go back to my own life is barely my business, let alone other people's life in understanding. So, like, wow. I'm just going to move on to take a look at that. So yeah, and we all have different things to learn. And
And the beauty, as Patricia said earlier, with this energy that we're in, we go through different stages of cycles where things repeats itself. Like we're in this cycle where going back to 2011 to current date, we have a lot of those where we get a chance to review what was going on at that time, what have we learned about ourselves, and you may have that pattern showing up now. So that expression is, well, if I had a chance to do it over, would I do it over and do it differently? Well, here's an opportunity that if your answer is that you want to do it differently, this is your opportunity to do it differently, because you're in the cycle now to do it differently. So are you going to do it differently, or are you going to continue repeating the same old ways what you used to do before? Then the reality is you really don't want to do it differently. You just say you want to do it differently because you're not comfortable being in where you are right now. And it's not so much about the suffering, because we don't have to suffer. The suffering is the concept of understanding, of trying to understand where we are. Let go of the understanding and allow it just to be, and just let things, as I said before, let things just flow where it needs to go. And of course, this is all my Pisces energy that comes in, just to be in that higher consciousness of everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to flow. Everything's going to go exactly how it needs to go, not necessarily the way I want it to go. And that's a big thing that we have to understand, is just because um we think it should go a certain way, everything's gonna work its way out. It may not work itself out the way you want it to work itself out, but it's gonna work itself out in the most highest purpose possible for your highest purpose. not necessarily the way you may think it's going to work out. That's why it's always best just to let go of the expectations to what you think it's supposed to be, and just be open to the fact that, you know what, the outcome is going to be for my most highest good. And when we can move into that energy of understanding the most highest good, and even let go of, like, what does that even mean? We can just go into layers. And now, of course, my Aquarius brain comes in, and my Mercury brain comes in the analytical and evaluating, like, oh, so what's this and what's that, and the next question, so we can let go of that and just be in this energy. So we are just about at our time. It's just about 9:24-ish, 9:25-ish. Patricia, do you have any final words you want to leave the audience with?
Well, for me, Pisces energy has been really good for spiritual channeling. It's been really good for doing sound work, music, voice, responding well for the healing aspects of sound, of angelic energies, of the light codes, and all these things that have come in during the last 13, 14 years as we've been going through this Neptune transit, especially. And then Saturn has been giving us the integrity piece. I think with Saturn in Pisces, it's about, you have this vision, you have this dream, but where are you going to be responsible for it? Or are you going to come in and do the work? Because Saturn is about doing the work to build the structure, to give it a solid foundation. And of course, Neptune wants to dissolve all that. So that, I think that's been causing a lot of frustration for people as well. It's like you build, dissolve, build, dissolve, build, dissolve, and so on.
Yes. And Kitty, how about final words from you?
Well, I'm thinking about what Patricia said, because one of the things I've definitely been drawn to is I've been playing hours and hours of Tibetan bowl music and singing bowls and all of that. But the one player who is really helping us with that Saturn need to focus, what Neptune is trying to get us to do, is right now we have this retrograde Cancer Mars every single day asking us to pivot and to understand and be able to deal with the wobbly, to keep one foot in, one foot out. We're gathering a huge amount of information to help us navigate right now. As a native with Mars and Cancer, it's very much about how do I pivot and nurture this self, other energy that is going, because it is hard for Saturn to figure out what to focus and what the integrity looks like. And meanwhile, we have all of this, we're getting ready for a new cycle with Spirit, another 165-year cycle, you know? And the last time, Neptune started a new cycle, we had slaves and we were raiding camps and selling people, and women had absolutely no voice. And so we look at that 165-year evolution. What's the next of that look like? And it's not surprising that as we move into that 29th degree, a lot of that's getting challenged again. So in that cycle. So that's where
Yes.
I would leave this Pisces, Aries energy that we're dealing with.
Yes. And as Kitty said, with Mars and Cancer, I mean, in retrograde, which is going to be ending very
23rd.
soon, the 23rd of February. So things will be shifting too. So my final words for tonight is to just let everybody know that last night the three of us will be coming together monthly to share about the astrology. We may every once in a while get together as a once in a while thing to do, but for right now, we're just going to put this on the back burner. And we do appreciate all of you who have been with us all night, sharing your comments and just watching. And if you are with us and you are watching later, please go ahead and share this out. And at some point, I will download this, because along with everything else, I never hit the recording button, so we have not recorded this, but that's okay. I can save this later and upload it on my YouTube channel. So I want to say thank you to everybody who is here tonight, and we will see you all really soon. Enjoy this new cycle that we're moving into until we meet again. Bye bye for now. Let's see if I can channel off here. Let's see how this is going to work. I may have to just abruptly shut down. So if that's the case, we're just going to shut down. I think we just went off live. Are we still on live?
No.
Okay, let's see if I can get back here. Let's see.
Oh, here's what.
I may end up having to shut this down too.
Oh, glad we finished what we did. Hmm.
All right, well, apparently I am still live here. This is from the panel discussion, the four astrologers, and I was behind the scenes where you were able to hear me but not see me. And so I just want to come on and shut down. And I just want to say thank you so much for being with us this evening. And I hope you got a lot out of what we shared between the three of us, Kitty, Patricia, and myself. And we will get together off and on to come and share some astrology insight, the astrology panel with each and every one of you. But I hope you enjoyed the time that you were with us. Until we meet again, have a great night.